Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. So, as you see, the title of this video is The Sun and the Moon, God and the Rock. Okay? In this study, I'm going to prove to you that the sun and the moon are the gods of Israel, the lords and gods of Israel. But they are not the supreme gods, because the sun and the moon were created by God. Okay? So they're not the supreme God. They're not the eternal God. But they are gods and lords. Okay? In Deuteronomy chapter, let's look at my first point. As you see here, my first point, I say Lord of lords and God of gods. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 17, this is what it says. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 17. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords. So who are these gods? Who are these lords? If we look at my next point, which is my next scripture, Genesis chapter 1, verse 16, notice what it says. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So right here, he's letting us know on day 4 that he created two lights. And both of these lights rule. What's another name for rulership? Lordship. Okay, so the sun and the moon rule over us. Okay, they're lords, but they're also lights. What is light? God is light. So the sun and the moon are both lords because they rule over the earth, and they're both gods because they give light. Okay? Now, if we look at my second point, Moses in the wilderness, he saw two images. I don't like to say images, but I'm going to just simply say he saw two gods. He saw the burning bush, and he saw a rock that brought forth water. I'm here to tell you that the burning bush represents the sun, and the rock represents the moon. If we go to Exodus chapter 3, in Exodus chapter 3, verse 2 and 3, notice what it says. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. Now, it says the burning bush, it was not consumed. That's the sun, brothers and sisters. Well, what do I mean? The burning bush was a representation of the sun that we see in the sky. Because the sun is burning, but it's not consumed. We heard the term that, man, one day the sun is going to burn out. That's what the burning bush represented. It was not consumed. It didn't burn out. If you burn something right now, eventually it's going to go out. It's not going to burn forever, right? So the sun represents the burning bush. But then you also have the moon. Okay, I want you to read something with me real quick. Notice what this says. Revisiting Apollo sample 2008. Additionally, the preserved hydrogen provided clues to the origins of lunar water. If it emerged from erupting volcanoes, it must have come from within the moon. The discovery suggested that water was a part of the moon since its early existence, and perhaps since it first formed. This is NASA saying this. NASA is saying that water had to have come forth from the moon. Okay? Now, let's go back to these scriptures. If we look at Exodus chapter 17, verse 6, notice what it says. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So right here we see one giving off fire. Then we see one giving water. That's the sun and the moon. The rock and the burning bush are representations of the sun and the moon, brothers and sisters. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1 through 4. Notice what it says. Moreover, brethren, I would not have that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat that same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. In verse 4, it says, the rock that followed them. What rock can follow you, brothers and sisters? Ain't no literal rock gonna follow you around. But we see the moon, we see the sun. Both of them encircle this earth. The sun is the one that actually moves around. Okay, the moon is actually the one that moves around. The sun doesn't move. The earth moves around the sun, and the moon moves in a circular motion. Okay? Third point, man-made gods of wood and stone. If we go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 28, notice what it says. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. So basically this was a curse that would come upon the children of Israel, that they would serve man-made gods of wood and stone. Now, why do you think the scriptures say man-made gods of wood and stone? Because the sun represents the burning wood, the burning bush. The sun, brothers and sisters, is like a fireplace with so much wood in it that it never burns out. That's the most simplest way I can explain the sun to you. The sun is like a fireplace with so much burning wood that it never burns out. Okay? The stone represents the moon, which is a rocky substance. You can stand on the moon, but you can't stand on the sun. Okay? The sun represents the kingdom. If you ever heard the Messiah say, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom, he's talking about the sun. We can be taken to the moon, but you can't be taken inside of the sun. You not on a physical level. Your physical body cannot enter into the sun, but your physical body can dwell on the moon. Okay? My point number 4, David's last words. In 2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 1 through 3, notice what it says. I'm going to just read verse 3. It says, the God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. Right here, David says, the God of Israel, the rock of Israel. Why does he say it like that? Because the God of Israel represents the sun. The rock of Israel represents the moon. Okay? This is why he says it like that. Okay? The God of Israel is the sun. Okay? The moon is the rock. It's just that simple, brothers and sisters. Because the sun is of a different substance than the moon. Okay? The sun, you ever been in a fireplace, you can feel the heat from that fireplace? It can get so hot that you can start burning. That's God. God is spirit, brothers and sisters. God is spirit. The heat from that sun can spear itself into your skin. That's where you get the word spirit. Spear it. It's like spears. They spear themselves into you. They go in and out, in and out. Okay, like spears, brothers and sisters. And the moon is the rock. My fifth point and final point is in the book of Psalms, chapter 78, verse 35. Notice what it says. And they remembered, talking about the Israelites, that God was their rock and the high God their redeemer. Tells us two gods right here. God is the rock and the high God your redeemer. Two gods. God of the rock is the moon. Our high God is the sun, because the sun brings forth redemption. The sun can kill and save you. Okay? That's what the redemption is. The redeemer is. I redeemed you from death. The sun can kill you or keep you alive. That's what a redeemer is. He redeemed you from death. I could have killed you, but I spared you. Okay? And that's just the fact of the matter, brothers and sisters. Okay? Hopefully you learn the truth. Lord of lords, God of gods. The sun and the moon are lords and gods, but they're not the supreme gods. They're not the eternal God. Because one day the sun and the moon will go out. We won't need the sun and the moon no more. So they can't be the eternal God. They were created by the eternal God. Okay? As the Messiah say, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall abide forever. So the sun and the moon are not eternal. They're not eternal. But they are lords and gods that rule over the children of Israel. Okay? Peace and blessings. Until the next time.